Okay, angels, this is the weekly love reading for the period of Sunday, the 2nd of May through Saturday to come the 8th. Again, we are starting with Try Again, just like we did in the general. Weekend away and spend money. Spirit says yes. Now that weekend to come, the 8th, I think the 9th, next Sunday, the date, they'll be the first day of the next week's reading, is Mother's Day. So maybe that's what the weekend away is associated with. Spirit says massage. Maybe we're getting away to like a spa, girls' weekend, or, kids or dad or somebody treating mom to something. Buy shoes. These shoes will be needed for the event. As I go over the cards with you guys, I have to talk to you about Kiss from a Rose again. It was definitely to be continued. So I told you I started out thinking it was for me because this has a long time been one of my favorite songs of all time. So before I did the video yesterday, I was guided to look up the lyrics. I've never looked up the lyrics ever before. And one word that I thought that I had been correct about all this time in this, and it's a well-known lyric page, right? This whole time was wrong. And so when I did the video, I was wrong with the word that I used. And I said, it was when I said my eyes become blind. That I had never thought that that blind was the word. I always thought it was my eyes become large. And so I was like kind of shocked when I looked it up and I was like, oh, all these years, what is it, like 30 years since Batman? I don't know, maybe less than that. But it feels like a long time. I feel like my kid was little, and I'll be 15 next month. So anyway, it's been a while. And so I was just like, pretty shocked, as one would be in that circumstance. And then only today, literally right before I started this reading, I had already shuffled the cards. They were on the table, several decks that I had shuffled. And I was just about to start. And Spirit said, look up the meaning of the gray. I compare you to a kiss from a rose on the gray. I knew that was correct too. And apparently some people thought it was the grave all this time. Like I said, I was always pretty sure that I knew the words to this song because it really is like my favorite song of all time, of all the mini genres and everything. And so I was correct about that. It is the gray. And I'm looking up the gray, and people keep, like the definitions that keep popping up are all about the color. And then there was a reminder that grays are also those little aliens with the big eyes. That don't really otherwise have many human feet. I mean, they got a head, they got arms and legs, but they're all like gray, like a otherwise like a blob kind of. The little aliens I'm talking about. Those are called grays, and I'm like, huh. My eyes become large and grays. Maybe that's what he was talking about, but then that didn't really make sense. And so I kept. Let me shuffle the cards too while I'm trying to do this. We're starting out with the 8 of Swords this week, which is about feeling stuck even when you're not. This woman is not stuck. Okay, there's no swords in front of her. She's blindfolded, but very loosely. She has something tied around her, but very loosely. She could get out of this. Okay, and she's not. So it's a feeling of being stuck. And the 6 of Swords shows up again. We saw this card many, many times through more than one deck in the general reading. It appears in reverse now. It's still a good card. And the 2 of Cups shows up again too. As well as the Chariot. The Chariot was our beginning energy or overall energy from one of the decks yesterday. So it's in reverse there. This is about the worst being behind you when it's upright. I mean, it's kind of one of those cards that means the same thing, whether it's in reverse or upright. But doesn't it kind of look when it's this way, particularly with the 2 of Swords, 2 of Cups rather, right behind it, that this guy's kind of looking back at a relationship and maybe like sailing back toward it? This could be talking about reconciliation here for somebody. I guess we're just and feeling stuck and not knowing how to get back to a relationship. Like, how can I reach out to him again? How can I reach out to her again? Maybe the last time they didn't want to hear from you. Or you're not sure. You feel like if I were them, I wouldn't want to hear from me. I was a dick. I was a douchebag. I was a bitch. Whatever the case is. There's the Eight of Swords again, even though I put it in the deck. But it's also the Queen of Pentacles, which is a repeat from the general reading too. So I think those cards could have been talking about that. So where was I with the story? Now the Two of Cups is on top. The Greys. So I figured that didn't make sense. That the Greys were talking about aliens. I mean, I think the whole thing is metaphors. He uses metaphors with regard to liquor. Not liquor. Drugs. Drugs. I don't know. Maybe liquor's on my mind. To talk about how he feels about this love. Which may or may not be a woman. I perceive as a woman, but doesn't have. And he was married to a woman, so I think he's into a woman, but it doesn't have to be. This could be anybody. So it could be for anybody's life, right? You can imagine what you want to imagine. So, I've always felt that the snow was a metaphor, again for drugs, because the part that I was really stuck on yesterday was, to me, you're like a grown addiction that I can't deny. So, like a drug addict. So I pictured the snows like, like a metaphor for cocaine, but the cocaine is also a metaphor for something else, because I don't believe the song is about drugs, although apparently some people do. I learned this today. So now that I went back to knowing for sure now that the lyric is "my eyes become large." Oh, and how the way I know that is, so right before I did this reading, I was, like I said, guided to look up what the Greys meant, and I came across after just seeing definitions of the word gray as in color and dark and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, okay, that can't be what it means. I came across this thing that was really from Seal. And basically, lyrics are normally included in an album, and he purposely did not include lyrics with the song because he wanted people to see their own thing, and he wanted people to apply it to their own lives. So I found this whole page where people were like sort of debating what it really meant and stuff like that. But I'm still trying to get to what it means for us. Now look at these cards together. We got the Two of Cups, we got the King of Cups, and we got the Hierophant. This could really be about commitment this week, whether it's renewed commitment or brand new commitment with somebody brand new. Even like engagement, marriage, traditional dating, courting, because the Hierophant is very much about tradition in addition to contracts. We have this Two of Cups, we have this partnership, this is the love reading, and then we have the King of Cups here, who's like one of the most romantic person in the deck, if not one of, just one of the most. So, there's the Knight of Pentacles again. It too is a repeat. I think I'll cut on that note. So, I still think a lot of the same things that I said I felt like it meant in the general reading. Just changing that word from blind to large gave me different thoughts. So if it's not "my eyes become blind and the light that you shine can't be seen," going back to, again, what I had always thought it was, my eyes become large, and now what I've confirmed it to be, then that makes me think of if he's using drugs as a metaphor, my eyes become large would make me feel like his eyes are dilated, that's why they're large. Or like your pupils get really large when your eyes are dilated. The light that you shine can't be seen. I don't think she's holding a flashlight. I think the light is from within, right? He's talking about like her aura. So he's saying that when this, whatever feeling, emotion, something comes over him, he sort of gets blinded. Maybe that's why this other person thought it was what the correct word was blind to the website. blinded to her aura. And so now I'm thinking it's like when he's depressed, and that's why it was so like important for me to bring it back to you guys with these new thoughts. And please feel free to share your own as well. But it was important for me to bring it back to you guys with these new thoughts, because if it could definitely be about, more than just, my masculine or a man in my life, or a masculine energy in my life, or that has been, in my life, in my history, or whatever. It could be extending to more people, trying to explain why there's a feeling of being stuck, maybe like the Eight of Swords, like why I feel like I can't move. It's because I'm depressed, or I get into this like depressed kind of feeling, which may be serious. And when I'm like that, I'm sort of paralyzed from being and blocked and blinded to being able to, see even the light and love that you're trying to send me and show me. So it's not you, which I've always explained to my clients and stuff. I'm like, usually in these things, especially in the cards will tend to reconfirm for me when I'm telling them this, it's not about you. Like, we try to make things about us. Like, why would he do this to me? Or why would she do this to me? I'm always like this, or I've done this, I've done that. And I'm like, it really has nothing to do with you. You're being impacted by the other person's situation. It really has a lot more to do with them and their own, what they're dealing with, than it has to do with you at all. And that's what I think this song is telling us today too. And so that may be an overlying thing. Because like I said, I was meant to look this up literally right before I started the reading. So now we have an overall energy from this deck of the Magician in reverse. Let me get another one. I'm also using numerology deck this week, I think, to do the spread from the masculine perspective. I don't know why I was guided to use this one, so we'll see what's meant to come out of it. But we're starting with completion, and I know there's a lot of Gemini energy this week. As you guys know that know me, they've watched before. I'm a Gemini sun. Venus enters Gemini this week. Mercury also enters Gemini this week. Both are rulers of ours, and in my personal natal chart, I'm impacted by both. My Venus is in Gemini, my Mercury is in Gemini. So I say all that to say, I think those of us for whom that is the case, we could experience some additional stuff this week, because for a Gemini, or at least for a Gemini sun, Taurus, where the sun currently is in our 12th house of endings. So I think there's a completion energy, like I said, for everybody, but more so for these people who are impacted by the Gemini energy. And the Magician represents the sign of Gemini, as may these swords. The Six of Swords is back. I'm learning now by picking up the Magician. It's upright again. It's right behind the Magician. So I think this completion is about like final endings. And the 12th house, that Taurus is Gemini's 12th house. The 12th house is the kind of endings that you experience, or at least with Taurus, in my observation, while often final, not like necessarily abrupt. So it's not like it's an exciting energy, very slowly things coming to like a crawl and then a stop, and then this will be done. So probably some stuff that's completing is stuff that you've been dealing with or experiencing, like something that's been like a long time coming. It's not completely out of the blue that something is ending. There probably have been signs, synchronicities, things trying to show you. But with all endings, with death, what happens? What comes? Rebirth. Especially on the heels or during the period of the Scorpio full moon. And the next card is relationship change. So some of these things may lead to relationship change, but that one is in reverse. So we'll do a little shuffling of this deck now. I just opened to new beginnings as well. One more. It's creativity. And the number 3 is also connected to the sign of Gemini. We are the third sign in the zodiac, actually. Right? The zodiac begins with Aries, then Taurus, then Gemini. Forgiveness will be our overall energy for that spread. I don't even know if I'm going to use these, but this is the Animal Tarot and the Angel Tarot together with an beginning or overall energy of the King of Wands, who is motivational, idealistic, ambitious, charismatic, and of course the quintessential divine masculine of the tarot. And I think that that's why it's showing up. I think there's a focus on him this week. And, you know, focus. Communicate with vision and be a leader. Take advice from someone creative. Next card is in reverse. Yeah, going back to the song, the focus could be about, you know, his sort of resurrection and reemergence, but this has been an overall theme or overlying theme for us all for the past several weeks. And I think I even called last week's reading, I called it resurrection. You know, ever since the Easter holiday and the Judas energy that showed up as it does annually. So, I think there's a focus on the masculine. I think a kiss from the rose on the grays. I think the grays, again, represent like the darkness, so depression, isolation, maybe even a period of ascension, as I mentioned yesterday. And that these are some of the things that he could be going through. And it's saying, like, even though maybe I separated myself from you, I'm not speaking to you, or we are, but you're feeling like there's some sort of distance between us, or we got into an argument, or whatever, don't feel like it's about you. You know, I look at, you know, extremely highly. I compare you to a kiss from a rose, a bright, you know, red or white. I mean, yes, there are black roses too, but I just I picture color when I see flowers, when I think flowers. So even the stem, the green, the leaves, I compare you to a kiss from a rose on the gray. So I'm the gray, right? I'm the darkness. I'm this, you know, in this mood or in this energy, in this emotion. And here comes this bright spot. And that's how I look at you. So don't feel like this is about you. This is about me. I'm going through something. It has nothing to do with you. I know it took me a long time to get to that, to get to the point. It's another Six of Swords. So again, the worst is behind us. So that could be a major part of the message too. Yes, all of that's been happening, and so you felt it some sort of way because you figured I felt some sort of way about you. And none of that's the case, and the worst is behind us. Like, I'm out of that. Like, I've been going through ascension. I've been growing spiritually, and it's just going to get better from here. Things are looking up. It's the end of a difficult situation. We may even be taking a trip. And for some, of course, that can be literal. Weekend away, maybe. And last but not least, I was guided to use these, which is kind of weird to me. And we'll see what happens, what comes of it. Because this, I don't even think there's a romantic card in this deck. This is the Life Purpose deck. We'll begin with options, which I guess can apply to love. Consider the career possibilities that are open to you. Maybe not just the career opportunities, but and love options as well. But sometimes career comes into play in terms of where we work, with whom we work, and affects our love lives in that way. How much money we earn or don't. Trust that your feelings and dreams, trust your feelings and dreams to guide you to the career path, but we can ignore the word career, and maybe it has to do with love. Leadership is very, again, King of Wands, take charge of the situation, very Emperor. Study is very Hierophant, and we even have an angel here, so it's giving, perhaps Sandalphon, who I view as like the Hierophant kind of. Reading, research, and education help you to gain confidence and clarity about your career or your spirituality, or and your emotions and feelings and maybe love life. Support. Your life purpose fully supports you. Why are so many cards upright? Artists. Engaging in artistic activities is beneficial to your career. It could be your love life too. Your creativity is beneficial to us in general. Every area of your life. Yes, I agree with that. Infinite abundance. There are all types of abundance. Love is one of them. You're fully supported as you devote yourself to your divine life purpose. Let go. Walk away from the situation in order to resolve it. Okay. Heart's desires. Angels are supporting, guiding, and protecting you as your dream becomes a reality. And flowers. Like roses. Working with flowers opens your heart and brings blessings to others through your life purpose. Time to decide. This can go on forever. It looks like all the cards up. All right, so we get the idea, and I'm not even going to try to throw all the cards in the middle because just about every single one was upright. We'll just shuffle them from here. Now they want to be in reverse. Isn't that funny? Yeah, but I'm really more and more feeling like it's a larger message that goes beyond me and my love life or life in general, that's meant for somebody else to hear. And just, I definitely feel like somebody felt like they had to walk away. A masculine felt like they had to walk away and end it because that part about, to me, you're like a grown addiction that I can't deny, felt dangerous, because in even the next lyric is even the question, won't you tell me, is that healthy, babe? Like for me to feel this way, this strongly about anybody is toxic. Not understanding, the pull, the magnetism between soulmates or twin flames or something. So talk to your angels. Instead of worrying, ask for divine guidance. Maybe take to some oracle cards and see what they can tell you, or see somebody who can do it for you. You're able to discern answers and guidance for yourself and for others through the use of oracle cards. Trust also makes a comeback. Trust your feelings and dreams to guide your path. Light and love. Your purpose is to bring divine healing light and love to the world. And that's the last one. All right, so let's finally get started. People always tell me, "Oh, I always felt like we got started." I mean, I'm sure there's some that don't like the way that I do things, but people that do always tell me, "I always feel like we got started already," because you go over, the cards as you're doing it, so it's like part of the reading. And I agree. I just know that, again, not everybody doesn't necessarily feel that way. I'm gonna get the stands too. So, the Magician in reverse tells us that we're probably not using our power to its fullest potential, and not only fullest. It's like about, the Magician is a very spiritual card, or can be. So it's also about like you should be using it not only to your fullest potential, but your highest, and best, making your highest and best use of your power. To fulfill your dreams. It's a card of manifestation, bringing things into your life that you want to bring in. Being in reverse can also say that we're like hesitant to make the changes that we need to make. And, maybe that's tied into the song. Like I would say, like fear could be associated with it. So again, like, if I feel addicted, if to me you're like a grown addiction that I can't deny, and I'm not sure that's healthy, that could lead to fear of me pursuing you, fear of me being willing to stay in the relationship with you. So of course that's not the only way that the meaning can be applied, but I'm using that because I've been talking about that, and I'm hoping that is a good example, of somebody who would maybe avoid or ignore signs and synchronicities that are telling you this, this is the right thing to do. This is the right place to be because of fear, and maybe a fear of one's own power and the power that you feel between yourself and another person, in the dynamics of a relationship. Again, the Magician represents the sign of Gemini. So this is our overall energy. The Six of Swords is also back, and it is a card that says that the worst is behind us. We're moving forward, right, into calmer, stiller waters. So things are going to calm down quite a bit. Even things that come to an end, I think, are going to come to a quiet end, as I mentioned a moment ago. I think largely because of the energy of Taurus, which I realize isn't everybody's 12th house, but because the sun is there, because there is so much Gemini stuff going on, I think that that's, playing a part in it. Then we have the Star, Major Arcana card 17, the Star, which is fellow air energy, represents the sign of Aquarius, and is also about manifestation, right? So we have the Magician and the Star. This is prayers being answered, wishes being granted, dreams coming true if you take advantage of opportunities that come your way. So the card that'll be specifically for the fire signs this week, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, your card is. It's that Eight of Swords, but it's in reverse now. So that's positive. Earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, your card is the High Priestess. Very nice. She came to mind with the next line. Now that your rose is in bloom, the light hits the moon, right, on the gray. So like the gray is illuminated. I just envision High Priestess energy with that. Air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Our card is the Two of Pentacles in reverse. And last but not least, water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Your card is the Hermit in reverse, which when it comes to love, whether upright or in reverse, is about rekindling a relationship from your past. So our overall energy, the Magician in reverse, can also mean, specific when it comes to love, that we're sort of losing faith in ourselves or our ability to find or attract or keep. Like, she can't even keep a man, or we're feeling that about ourselves. Or to find somebody. Like, nobody's interested in me, nobody loves me, what am I doing wrong, I'm horrible. If we're single, obviously. And this needs to be stopped immediately because it goes against the Magician. The Magician is, again, this manifester, this master of manifestation, and has the ability to use the power, sort of like the sign of Gemini in general, has the power of all of the zodiacs, right? We are not only a mutable sign, which all mutable signs can use the trait to the other zodiacs, but we're like to the second power, right? We're talking about the twins. And so when you have that energy with you and you're not using it to manifest your dreams, then and you're not even remembering that you have the ability to do that, you're like that. We may be who this week is sort of sinking into the gray, right? We're getting into this sort of dark feeling, those of us who are single. And so it's very important, obviously, to use positive affirmations. And this came up also in the general reading, the way we speak over ourselves, and the thoughts that we think about ourselves and think over ourselves that need to always be positive and attracting the things we want in our life. So there's that. If you are in a committed relationship, then this can be an indication of like hesitancy to talk about what it is you really want and need in and or out of the relationship. And it's time to like be brave and to communicate these things. And that also came up in the general reading, although not with this card. It was like the Six of Cups in reverse, the Six of Swords, that was guiding us to like face some things in our relationships and our love lives that maybe we've been sweeping under the rug for a while now. So moving on to the fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Your card again is the Eight of Swords in reverse, and it may mean that you need to like watch out for jealousy in your relationship. And that is something that can come from people who feel addicted, maybe, like, or in a toxic situation, or are toxic individuals. are concerned about being toxic individuals. Like I said, some people may have walked away from relationships. This I've been talking about for weeks. Because they felt something about them was becoming too intense, was becoming too crazy, and so, you know, rather than have that happen, they abandoned you. And I think I talked about that like specifically, or began talking about it like 3 weeks ago. So that energy apparently is still around us. This can be about jealousy, whether, in an existing committed relationship or a relationship that you're just like hopeful about. Like you like this person or somebody likes you and it's coming up. Or you have some sort of relations, but like more like a situationship than anything exclusive. But for whatever reason, there's jealousy among one or more parties. So just be careful. Obviously, this sort of thing can happen too in people who are like trying poly relationships but aren't ready for them, um, aren't built for them. So be careful about that, because some of these things are becoming like trendy and like, oh yeah, I can do it or I'll try it, and when not everybody's meant for that sort of thing. Anyway, jealousy gets you nowhere. It's not proof of love. I know it can be attractive to an extent, I guess, like a little bit. It's anything that in excess is bad. Like even stuff that's meant to be good for you. I talked about this last week too. Like even water, for example. Too much water, drinking too much water can cause you to die by drowning. They call it a dry drowning because you're on land, right, where it's dry, but you still drowned. So even something like as good as water can be. So imagine like things that that we consider negative, like jealousy. A little bit, okay, you know, um, when it becomes excessive, it's problematic. Um, and nobody should own another person or feel like they own another person. That's where all this danger comes from. This idea of enslaving people. It's tied, for me, in my mind, it is tied to like slavery and just feeling like we have to own everything, other living beings and stuff like that, which is a problem. So it's about being self-sufficient instead, and self-possessed, and instead of trying to own other people. Moving on to the earth signs, you guys have a much better card than us all. I'm not singling out the fire signs. You have like the best card here, period. And High Priestess, can mean a magical time for love for you. Um, any of you that are interested in love, especially like if you're a woman, you may, and this can apply to men too, but especially if you're a woman, you may feel that like people are like literally throwing themselves at you, and it's like, what's this about? Why am I getting all this attention? And the problem is with this though, that you attract not only necessarily good attention, but also, bad attention. And sometimes it's not easy to tell which is which, because we can be attracted to things like, a little bit of jealousy, a little bit of, like thuggery, a little bass in a man's voice, that kind of stuff. And sometimes, when it becomes excessive, it can be problematic. You got this tremendous feminine power, so add that to the power of the magician, and you are extremely powerful being this week, not in life, let alone love, right? And you have this femininity, like sort of like at your disposal, that can seem great, again at first thought, but an abusive power can backfire on you, because again, anything in excess is not good. So use it wisely, because it's very, very strong. If you date women, right, so even if you are a woman yourself, if you are somebody who dates women, then you could find yourself interested in a woman this week who's sort of, comes across at least, as sort of distant and unapproachable, and it's possible that that's the way she'll stay. That is the way she is. To trust your instincts and trust them to let you know, like when the person that you are pursuing is not going to ever be able to be pursued. Because sometimes these people are just emotionally unavailable. They're physically unavailable. Because for whatever reason, sometimes they're unavailable for a relationship because they're already in one. All of these things, or again, maybe it's like a poly situation, because I'm not sure why that popped into my head, but with the poly relationship, you have to, be able to accept and understand the dynamic, and that the amount of attention that you want isn't necessarily the amount you'll get, because there are other parties that need, to receive equal attention as well. All right, so moving on to the air signs: Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Our card is the Two of Pentacles in reverse, and Two of Pentacles in reverse is pretty much the same as, or at least with regard to love, it brings about like the same concerns, and that the that the Two of Pentacles upright does. I don't know why I couldn't get that out. So if we're like currently in a committed relationship, let's say, then other things that we're dealing with in our life, other concerns, issues, our work. Often it's work. I mean, it's Pentacles, so often it has to do with how you earn your money or whatever. Like pulling your attention away from your relationship, and you need balance. So again, even too much work, or too much earning, which is something that's wonderful to be able to provide for your family and stuff, but too much of it can be hurtful to your relationship, and hurtful to you as an individual too, as a person, right? Because you're not nurturing your social life. You ever play The Sims? I play The Sims. I've actually been playing it since the very first one, when you had to be the mayor and build a town and all that kind of stuff, like way back in, I think it was like the early 90s. Anyway, one of the things that you have to keep up on the meter is your Sims like social, your Sims fun. This is an important part of being, a human, or being a person. We have to nourish like all of these aspects of ourselves. So this is an indication that you're not necessarily doing that. And even if you're single, and you don't have a relationship to commit to, you're not putting enough time into being social and potentially developing relationships with people, particularly if that is something you have an interest in, and you're like, well, I'd like to find a mate. Well, how do you expect to find one, doing what you're doing? So if you're looking for love, be sure that you're not like fooling yourself about how ready you are, for a deep relationship to come into your life, because you may not be. You're not like leaving a space. I talked about this too yesterday, leaving a space. And it was because Ceres, the asteroid, was entering the sign of Taurus. So the Pentacles, that may be what's affecting us here. Again, Taurus is our 12th house. So we are impacted as Geminis. And I know not everybody in this group is a Gemini. Some are Aquarius, some are Libra. But for those of us who are. Also, if you're like constantly filling your time with work or other distractions, then obviously there's not going to be room in your life for a partner. So you need to do some evaluation, self-evaluation. Moving on to the water signs: Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Your card is the Hermit in reverse. And this card, like I mentioned, just as when it is upright, similar to what I said about the air signs and the Two of Pentacles, this is about a relationship in your past that will likely be rekindled or wants to be rekindled. And you need to ask yourself whether that's what you want, or, if you're thinking that you want nothing more than a romantic relationship, and that's not what you're used to having with this person, then you're going to have to like go into it a certain way, and say, this is what I'm looking for, like a real relationship, a real commitment, or this is what I'm not looking for. So like, does what you're being offered, or what seems to be coming toward you, align with your needs? Are you making it yourself available to meet other people so that you don't have to rekindle relationships from your past, but maybe you can start a new one? These are all the different kind of things that you're supposed to think about when this card comes up. If you're already in a committed relationship, it's important that you make a point to spend time and energy and attention on each other, so on your mate, and they need to do the same thing with you, no matter how busy either of you are, so don't fall into this trap, basically. So now I want to use these. I'm just going to keep it moving here today. Divine Feminine, masculine as it relates to the feminine, himself, and the union or connection as a whole. Overall, what energy the masculine would have the feminine give to the union or connection if it were up to him. What he himself is giving, bringing this week. And what the universe wants to help us with, wants to help us to be able to do. And the outcome. Again, with an overall energy of forgiveness. Can I move that over some more? No, I cannot. So I'll put it here. Divine feminine, spiritual career. So again with the career, maybe this is why I was meant to use the life purpose cards this week, and I didn't even use them. I meant to clarify the other the other cards with them. Maybe I'll add them here to this spread. So we got spiritual teacher is what the feminine is beginning with, and so for me this is like a combination of Hierophant and Hermit. Those are the kind of vibes that it gives to me. So it could have to do with rekindling a relationship. We do have all this pink here, which is sort of flirty, especially since I was just talking about The Sims. In The Sims, when a Sim is feeling flirty, the meter fills up with pink. So that could be what it's talking about. And maybe meeting somebody through a spiritually based business, or or we're already working on a spiritually based business with a partner, and maybe there's some growth through that this week. The masculine relates to the feminine. We have spirituality. So, and this card in this placement, I always say is connected to this one. And isn't it funny? We have card number 77 and card number 78. We have spiritual career and we have spirituality. So I think the feminine is probably a little bit more spiritual than the masculine, but his is growing, and they're like growing something together, whether it's an actual business or not. But I think for some it could definitely be a business officially that you get into, but it could be just like a spiritual practice that maybe you start to do together, or that you're both doing. And even if you're like apart, separated, you haven't met yet, you may not realize that you're on one part of the earth doing this, your practices, and the masculine, or who's your masculine, is somewhere else on the planet doing like the same thing. And energetically, you're coming closer and closer together right now. The masculine as relates to himself. There's a pride situation we have to get beyond. It's card number 19. Isn't that interesting? Especially sitting next to the 7 sevens, right? So we got God, 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 like showing up all over the table. And 78 equals 6, which is a representative of mother, and particularly Mary, who has a feast day this week, by the way, Our Lady of Lujan. So this is interesting. Pride. This could be the 8 of Swords, the thing that's making the masculine feel stuck. Like, how do I get beyond this? And I think I sort of alluded to this before. I don't remember using the word pride earlier, but I was saying, like, how can I reach out to you? How can I feel comfortable making a comeback, especially if somebody was abandoned? How do you sort of re-engage? Or even if it's a brand new relationship, how do you make a comeback from your past relationships and hurts? You do have your pride. Even doves have pride. So that's another song that talks about earth angels for me, When Doves Cry. And we have the purple for the purple one, Prince, right? When he's talking about that, even doves have pride. It's like even earth angels, twin flames or soulmates have pride. So like, what do we do? We're not perfect just because we're like angels. So trying to move beyond that. The masculine, as it relates to the union or connection as a whole this week, we have moderation. And I've definitely been talking about this the whole time. Like, too much of something is not good, right? Of anything, of one thing. We need balance. We need moderation. We need to find the happy medium in all it is that we're doing. Also, moderation gives like temperance vibes. Temperance from the tarot. And temperance represents a sign of Sagittarius. For me, it always brings in Aquarian energy too, because there's always like a water bearer on a card. Almost always, any deck you get, the card that is the temperance card has like a water bearer on it. So maybe the Aquarian energy is about liberation from something like this, pride, or the things that constrain us, the things that hold us back, at least as it relates to the masculine. What energy the masculine would have the feminine give to the union connection this week if it were up to him? Follow your dreams, especially if he's one of them. And we got more pink here for the feminine. So there's a lot of very heavy feminine energy coming from this, with all this pink, or traditionally feminine. What the masculine is bringing, we got physical activity. And we got a 13 in terms of the number. More purple. So both of his cards are purple. Or all three of his cards are purple. Because this was the masculine as it relates to the feminine. This is the masculine as it relates to himself. And this is what he's bringing. Purple was big in the general too. And it's very much tied to Aquarius. One of the Aquarian birthstones is amethyst, which is like one of the most protective gemstones there is. And that one is purple. It tends to be purple. There's other colors of amethyst too, but it tends to be purple. It is, again, a card of liberation and freedom and compassion. And physical activity. It's also about mystery and like magic. So I wonder if it's tied to the magician. It can be about spirituality too. So maybe this is still connecting to these things, and the masculine, again, some physical spiritual practice could be considered physical activity. That's what he's bringing this week. He's like physically engaging, I think, in like magic, mystery, the spiritual, the arts, so to speak, which is good. Overall, we have karmic completion. Well, that's good. So again, something is coming to an end of the cycle. And what the universe would have each or both of us bring to the union of connection this week and wants to help us with is personal growth, another 7. And the outcome. Parenting. And I see this as co-creation, not necessarily actually parenting. Actually, I'm not even feeling parenting in a literal sense very strongly at all. I think it's about co-creation, which would bring us back to where we started. So I'll add, I don't know for what it's worth, I'll add the life purpose cards to these. I plan to use them in a different space and didn't. So Divine Feminine, our card is nutrition. You conduct healing work through your culinary skills. And maybe that's tied to a spiritual career or practice that we are performing this week or want to get into or are already involved in. And we have been talking about different diets and things during this period, because I talked last week when I did the moon reading about the fact that the sign of Scorpio rules sort of physical activity, and these things like, trying to, lose weight, gain weight, exercise, all that kind of stuff. So that could be what that's about. The masculine relates to the feminine and nutrition. We got spiritual teacher. So I guess this is the way it was supposed to happen. Because so far, we're only 2 cards in, but so far it's like the reverse of what's here is showing up in these cards, in this layer. So now he's a spiritual teacher, and that could be that he's helping her to come up with different ways. He might be the one who, is like the guidelines. I'll show you how to make these dishes. I'll show you what is, alkaline versus non, or maybe sort of healing, like holistic, like herbal, like an herbalist. Something can be going on like that. These different practices. And like I said, whether we're together or apart, we both got it. Because here she's possibly the spiritual teacher. She's got spiritual career in nutrition, and then he's got spirituality and spiritual teacher. So joining pride, we have environmentalist. You're an earth angel. Didn't I say even doves have pride about this card? Even angels have pride. Earth angels. I specifically use the term earth angels. Well, it says, yes, it's confirming. You're an earth angel and you were born to protect, nurture, and to teach about nature and the animals. There you go. The union or connection as a whole, joining moderation, we have sensitivity. You're becoming more sensitive and need to make changes accordingly. Yeah, not too much and not too little of anything. We need balance. We need moderation. We're becoming sensitive to excess and to lack, right? To limitation. We need to find the happy medium. Overall, joining the karmic completion, we have protected. So through whatever, to the end, we're safe. You're safe and supported while you change your career or change your path or whatever it is you're going through. What energy the masculine would have the feminine give to the union connection this week if we're up to him? Join and follow your dreams. We have teaching. Yet again, all the same cards, or yeah, basically. You inspire young people to learn. So like setting an example for the world through what we're doing, and maybe through your spiritual practice and belief systems and ideology, even if it just means teaching your family, teaching those around you by example. What energy the masculine himself is bringing this week, and it is leadership. Nice. Take charge of this situation, and that could be certainly tied to physical activity. What the universe would have both archetypes give to energy to the situation, and what the universe actually wants to help us with is books. You connect to your life purpose through your involvement with books. And this could be reading up on some sort of spiritual practice, or on soulmates, on twin flames, on some sort of self-improvement and strength and motivation, maybe, so we can get back into that magician role and power. And last but not least, the outcome. Joining parenting, we have counseling. You heal with kind words, wise advice, and an empathetic ear. And some of us may actually find ourselves talking to, if not our children or siblings or parents, somebody else. Again, like I said, this could even be about teaching your family. So I know that goes outside of the realm of love relationship, but I just feel that this could be tied to the leading by example and to helping other people that are around you. Healing with kind words, advice, and empathetic ear. Somebody if you have the high priestess energy also this week, so maybe particularly for the earth signs, you're going to be attracting a lot of people coming to you. You might be like, why are they asking me? Why are all these people asking me for advice? Like, it could be tied to this as well. So speaking of advice, why don't we do some advice for us all here from these decks. I didn't even reiterate that the overall energy was talk to your angels, right? Instead of worrying, or get a reading and then trust your feelings and your inclinations, your instincts, your gut, and know that your purpose is driven by light and love, and is meant to bring divine healing and light and love to the world. All right. I didn't reiterate this overall energy either. It was forgiveness. The card behind it is also upright. It's time out. We could be seeking forgiveness for a timeout. Like, I took a break. I ghosted. I abandoned. And I apologize. Or it could be, forgive me, I need some time to myself. I need a timeout. Apologies in advance. Or there's forgiveness, and then it's the two of you taking some time out, maybe away from the rest of the world, to work on your relationship. Just looking for a card from the other deck now. We got one. And we got one. So for the masculine from the Angel Tarot, your advice is the Emperor. And you just got a card here. It says you're meant to lead by example this week. You are the Emperor. Organization and logic, structure and discipline, and leadership is what you're all about. The Emperor represents the signs of Aries and Scorpio most directly because it represents the planet Mars, which is a ruler of both. Feminine. The King of Pentacles. This could be who wants to make a comeback for some of us. If you fall into that group, that was the earth signs, right? No, that was the water signs that had the Hermit. Generous, professional, responsible, and practical. A successful time. Confidently accept opportunities you're offered. You have the Midas touch. I mean, this is showing up for all the feminine, but I'm saying particularly for the water signs, this could be what that Hermit was about. Because the King of Earth may be a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, or someone likened to those traits or attributes. And the Hermit indeed represents the sign of Virgo. Speaking of the Hermit, masculine, your next card is the Hermit. Take time for contemplation, to retreat and to go within. Be a beacon for others on their path to spiritual enlightenment as well. Well, we saw all of that. This is a spiritual teacher, came up in about 3 different ways, right, in this spread. So that could be about you being a beacon for others on their path. Again, the Hermit represents the sign of Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury, which moves into Gemini this week. These could all be reasons for these cards to be popping up here. I was getting something else from this. I lost it. Oh, retreating and going within. That could be tied to time out, right? Taking a time out. Feminine art card from the Animal Tarot is the Queen of Cups. She is compassionate, loving, giving, and psychic. This is a time of deep emotions and heightened intuition that you can trust completely. Be mindful that you don't ignore your own needs while caring for others. 2 of Pentacles, right? From the numerology deck for the masculine, your card is health. And more purple here in the middle for you. Very, very interesting. So we talked about what purple means, and what it could mean toward your health is, again, purple is about compassion and liberation, right? Freedom, humanitarianism, royalty. So this could be you in terms of like taking on your power, your divinity. It is a card of also spirituality, divinity, a color rather. All these things. Protection, like amethyst. Feminine, our card, love partnership. That pairs nicely with the Queen of Cups, doesn't it? 26 equals 8. I've been talking a lot about the number 8 because Scorpio, where we just had the full moon, rules the 8th house in general. And it is blue. It's like water. The Queen of Cups is most directly a Scorpio. I don't know, something's coming up with Scorpio, maybe tied to the Scorpio full moon, or maybe an actual Scorpio, because I didn't mention that. The Queen of Cups is indeed a Scorpio, Pisces, or Cancer, or someone likened to those traits or attributes. And last but not least, from the Life Purpose deck to the masculine, writing. You heal, inspire, teach, and entertain with the words you write. And with Mercury and Venus entering Gemini this week, writing or communication in general is going to be a big part of our week. Please do check out the general reading to see what I said about that. And at the end, I read about from tarot.com what they have to say about Mercury and Venus entering Gemini. And last but not least, for the feminine, from the Life Purpose deck, our card is children. Your life purpose involves helping, teaching, and healing children. And maybe you'll do that with a partner, or you'll meet somebody who's doing that as well, you know, and you guys will find that you were made for each other. Hope you guys have enjoyed the love reading. I may come back with something else. I'm thinking about it. If YouTube and time and schedule and energy allow me. Thank you for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. I do appreciate it. Namaste.